It's pretty frustrating when you've got all these powerful tools, but things are still breaking, right? Well, that's exactly what seems to be happening with data pipelines. We found this survey is really quite striking. It showed 45% of enterprise data leaders had like 11 to 25 pipeline failures in just 2 years.
Wow, that many.
Yeah. And get this, 63% said those failures hit the customer experience directly. So today, we're doing a deep dive into ETL extract, transform, load best practices. Because what we're seeing suggests it's usually not the tech itself that fails first. It's often the design.
Exactly. And, this stuff really matters. These aren't just techie concepts. They're the bedrock for reliable data you can actually get insights from. Think about those little workarounds people put in place. They seem fine at first, maybe with a few data sources, but then they just crumble when you try to scale up. That's where the problems really start to pile up quietly.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. So first core principle, building pipelines for modularity and scale. It's really tempting, I think, to just build one big monolithic thing because it feels faster upfront. But the sources show that simplicity. It comes with this huge hidden cost, like a fragility debt. It makes systems break unexpectedly later and slows down any updates you need to make.
Precisely. The better way, the alternative, is designing with loosely coupled flows. Basically, each bit does one job and does it well. This way, every component can be tested on its own, reused elsewhere, and you can actually see what it's doing, which is absolutely vital in, modern cloud setups where you need to be agile.
Interesting. So you mentioned observability there. I hear a lot about teams struggling with understanding their data's history, its lineage, and just trusting it. What are the sources saying about metadata? The thing lots of teams seem to bolt on at the end. How can focusing on that help?
Yeah, the thing about metadata, it's kind of counterintuitive. If you treat it like a design thing first, not just clean up later, it totally changes how reliable your pipelines are. This metadata-first idea is key for being able to observe everything properly, and for solid data governance, makes audits simpler, debugging way easier.
So it's not just documentation.
No, not at all. And the market sees it too. Metadata management tools, that market is booming, valued at USD 11.7 billion in 2024, and projected to hit USD 36.4 billion by 2030. Growing fast, it really helps teams work together and enforce those data contracts, basically agreements on what the data should look like. It builds trust right into your system.
Okay, so a solid foundation, clear responsibilities, rich metadata. How do we make sure these pipelines actually perform well when things get busy? Not just work, but work efficiently at scale.
Well, performance isn't just about speed, right? It's about throughput you can trust. That scales up. Part of that is designing for things like schema drift, when the data structure suddenly changes, or source volatility, like format shifting unexpectedly. Pipelines don't break just because systems change. They break because the change catches them off guard.
So they need to expect change.
Exactly. Your logic needs to anticipate it. And then choosing between batch or micro-batch or streaming, the key isn't just jumping on the latest trend. It's about matching how often you deliver the data to what the business actually needs.
Right. Makes sense. And how does orchestration kind of tie this all together and build that confidence?
Well, orchestration tools like Apache Airflow, which is huge, used by over 77,000 organizations, massive downloads. They do way more than just scheduling jobs. They give you visibility, control, automated ways to handle issues. They help make sure your ETL flows are resilient. And that directly feeds into good data governance. Something like, 71% of organizations now say they have a formal governance program. That's up from 60% last year.
So it's becoming standard practice.
Pretty much. Things like observability, monitoring your SLAs, your service level agreements, they're just non-negotiable now. If you can't see if your pipeline is healthy, how can you possibly fix it? Combine that with things like role-based access control, data contracts we mentioned, versioning your code, logging changes. All that gives you the audit trail you need to actually trust the data.
So it sounds like taking these ETL best practices seriously isn't just about avoiding those silent failures we talked about at the start. You're really building systems that are robust, trustworthy, they protect performance, and ultimately they free you up to focus on what matters, getting real insights from your data.
Absolutely. It's not about achieving some impossible perfection overnight. It's more about continuous improvement, building maturity in your ETL processes, spotting issues earlier, recovering faster, and scaling things up with confidence.
For the latest tech insights, visit em360tech.com.